That got everyone's attention, right? So thank you all. Thanks for coming and being here this afternoon. And so now I'm going to have a chat about the Trecena of Kej. Okay, so with all of the Trecenas, obviously they take their direction from the renewal, which is associated with them. So the first thing that we have to ask is, what is Kej all about? Well, Kej is the greenness. It's the wilderness. It's a connection to the natural world. I always see this place, Atitlan, as being an extremely Kej place. We see greenery, we see mountains, we see trees, we see water. This is the wilderness. This is where we connect with the spirit of nature. Especially, the further up the mountain you go, the more you connect, right? Down here where people are growing the corn, maybe it's not so much where there's people, but you get up there and you start experiencing the wildlife, you start experiencing the spirit of the natural world up there. And so this is what Kej is tuning us into. Now I always think it's interesting that if you go to many of the communities or something like that and you ask a question of an elder, the elder might well say, let me go and ask the mountain. And that's the way that it's phrased or something like that. And what my feeling is that they mean they want to go and take a walk up in the mountains. They want to go and take a walk up in the wilderness. And it's there that the answer to the question will come to them. And it will come from a bird, or it will come from an animal, or from a tree, or from a rock, or maybe from the clouds. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it's really kind of like when you understand what the significance of different things are, the answers become very clear. And so those people who are able to do that, they are people that we see as spiritual leaders, right? And so they get their power from the wilderness. They get their answers from the wilderness. They get their answers from Kej. And so for this reason, I also see Kej as the renewal of the spiritual leader. And it's about connecting with the spiritual leader. Now, that term in itself can be kind of interesting, right? Spiritual leader. What does that mean and what does that entail? Well, quite honestly, I think that everybody is in one way or another, because it's counsel, right? I think it's like we don't want to overinflate it as to what it really means. I think that, sometimes maybe you've had a hard week, and maybe in your world, in your reality, you go down to the bar on a Friday night or something like that and you talk with the bartender and you tell them about your week and they give you their advice. They are acting as your counsel, they're acting as your spiritual leader. So let's not get too caught up with the grandeur of it. We're all here to help and advise each other. The more connected with nature we are, the more that we can understand how to live on this planet in harmony. And that's what I see as one of the important essences of the Kej Trecena, to go and reconnect with nature. Now, in the northern hemisphere, we're just coming to the point of the year where we can emerge from hibernation, right? I know that there's several places in my reality that are just clearing the snow right now and starting to move into spring and that. And we see life coming back to the world. It's a great time to get out, and with world events going the way that they are, people are starting to be able to again emerge from the cave, emerge from the hibernation. Maybe with this new year that comes in, people are able to emerge from the imposed confinement that they've been in. And how do we feel when we're in confinement, when we're in a house? We're all tense, right? We've got to get out, we need our freedom. And part of that is going out into the wilderness. Part of that is going out, okay, we might be wanting to go out and see our friends as well, but getting out into the woods and breathing that fresh air and connecting with the natural world again. Because this is what brings us back into balance. And for Kej, this is very important, because Kej can become too stubborn when it is confined, right? Because the deer, the horse, starts to freak out when we're holding it in one place. And when we take it and we let it back out into the paddock, or we let it back out into the wilderness where it can graze again, it's like, It's okay, I'm back into my correct environment. And so it's a great time to be going and reinitiating your connection with the natural world, which is, I think, of profound importance to us all. Our connection to nature is one of the most important things that we can have. And whether it's like, maybe if you live in the city, you just got to go to the park or something like that, but at least, if it's not too cold, get your feet on the grass, reconnect with the natural world and bring yourself into balance like that. Okay? So that's the theme of the whole Trecena, to be connecting back with the natural world again. And it's going to begin with the day 1 Kej. Okay, so 1, the initiation. 1, the birth, the beginning. And Kej, again, the strengthening that comes through the natural world. So this is the ideal day to be, exactly as I said, emerging from your cave. I was going to say cage, I suppose the two things could be the same. It's like emerging from that confinement and going and reconnecting with the greenness of the world. Going and tuning back into nature and seeing what that brings to you. Seeing how that works for you. Remembering where everything was supposed to be. Because that's what it's all about. You might have felt anxious, you might have felt all sorts of things going on, and sometimes that might lead us to having this explosion of, like, from our stubbornness or something like that. Well, this is all part of that Kej nature. If you try and barricade the horse in, the horse is going to go through the door or through the barricade. The moment that you can put it back into its natural environment, it's going to chill out and it's going to bring you back into balance. And so that connection with the greenness, that connection with nature is vitally important at this time. And here we have the exact right day to bring all of the best consequences of that. From 1 Kej, we then move into 2 Anil. So Anil, the seed. Anil, the ripening. Anil, the goldenness. Literally meaning yellowing or having the qualities of yellow. It's about bringing the maize to its fruition, bringing it to abundance. And here, like, you know, when we take our maize to the market and that, we're happy, right? Our labour has been paid off because finally we've got the result we were looking for. Finally we've got the harvest that we can take. So there's a joyful nature to Anil. It's about receiving the bounty, receiving the harvest. And here we see it with the number 2, and the number 2 can represent relationships. The number 2 can also represent self-sacrifice. So there's 2 different ways that we could see this. The first way, we could see self-sacrifice and abundance coming together. And so it's like putting your energy, making a little self-sacrifice for what you're going to create in the future. You know, even when it comes to planting your garden, you're spending your time, you're spending your energy in the garden planting your seeds because you know later on you're going to reap the benefit of that. That's a little bit of self-sacrifice for a future benefit, yeah? Now, the other thing that we could see is that we can see relationships in there with the number 2 representing lovers and relationships. And so it's like the Anil nature being about joy, and it's about bringing the joy into relationship. It's a great day for having fun with your partner or however that might be. That can also be in there as well. Maybe that's the trip to the wilderness as well. Okay, but really the ultimate goal of Anil is to bring ripeness, to bring abundance, and to bring maturity, because as they say, we're all the people of the corn, and so as the people of the corn, our yellowing is our maturity, and so that's what we're aiming for. And so again, whether we're looking at it through relationship or whether we're looking at it as self-sacrifice, focusing on those 2 things is going to help to bring us and the people around us to full and abundant maturity. We then move into 3 toch. So toch, the payment, toch, the sacred fire, toch, where we're giving back, we're counting. We just received our abundance in anil, right? So when we've received our abundance, we then want to give a little bit back. We want to make thanks. We want to give thanks for what we've received. And toch gives us the ability to do that. But for me, it's kind of interesting that in this moment, we see 3 toch, because the number 3 is a very internal number. That's where its power is. It can represent the home, but it can also represent, I think, the soul, because it's inside, it's in the home of the body. And so it's introspective. 3 days are introspective. And one of the ways that we could see that is giving to the self, nurturing the self, nourishing the self. Maybe you've been through the wars a bit. Maybe you've been giving a lot. Maybe you've really been working hard and doing what you do. And maybe you need to slow down, acknowledge yourself, and reward yourself a little bit. I know it's a bit of a different way of looking at it, but it's something that we sometimes overlook. Toch is about service. 3 is about inner service. It's service within. The other thing that we could see is it's within the home. And so it's kind of like a day to, maybe you've been busy working on everybody else's house and not on your own, in whatever sense of the house word that could mean. So it's a time to pay attention to your own house, to your own home, to your own inner world, and make sure that that has been fully nourished as well. Maybe to draw that wilderness into your inner world. From 3 toch, we're then going to go into 4 tzi. Okay, so tzi, faith, loyalty, justice, law, guidance. It represents all of those things. Okay, and with the number 4, the material plane, the material realm, bringing things down to earth, but also seeing things as being kind of like, we could see this as being like material law, material justice, yeah? So if there is something legal that you need to do, 4 tzi would be a great day to go to the lawyer's office and get it done. Anything that's to do with land, property, the material world, 4 tzi is the day to make that happen. Might be asking for justice for people around you, might be asking for justice for nature, for the rights of nature in this Kej Trecena, right? Like the physical world, and making sure that we look after it, making sure that we honor it, making sure that we unconditionally love it, because tzi is also the renewal of unconditional love. So it's bringing that into the physical level, working with it like that. From 4 tzi, we then go into 5 bats. So bats, creativity, arts. Bats, the one who is making the world a more beautiful place to be in. The master artist, the weaver. Okay? And the number 5, the number of work. It's about putting our energy into our creation, putting our energy into creativity. This is a very, for me, the 5 is a very important thing to see, because it's saying, like, it will happen where you put your energy. And it really gives us the opportunity to focus that day on what we want to create into the world, what we want to bring in, how much energy we want to give our creativity. That's a 5 bats day. And so if you've got a creative project, that's the day to kind of like cancel the other plans and get onto your creativity, because that's a wonderful day. The 5 will always give results when you put the energy into it. And so it's like, take the time to do it, because you'll be hopefully impressed with the outcome should you do that. From 5 bats, we're then going to go into 6 ech. Anybody has a journey to make, 6 ech would be one of the best days to make it on. Okay? Ech, the journey, the road. Ech, the path, the discovery. Okay? This is all about going out there, getting out into the big wide world and doing what you need to do. It's usually seen as a great day to travel, because, it's literally, the energy is with the idea of a journey. So it's a great day to make it on. What's more, it's with the day number 6. And the number 6 is this number of ultimate stability. We have the 4 of the physical plane, and then we're bringing in the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, and manifesting it into the physical plane. So a physical journey, which is like divinely inspired, that's what 6 is about. So it's like you just thought you was going down the shops or something like that, but then you found out there was a massive hidden meaning to it, or there was something far more than you expected that occurs in that journey. Now, the other thing about it is the stability, because the 6 is the number of ultimate stability. So again, it's like, what do you want? You want stability in your journeys. You want kind of like, let's say you don't want any unexpected surprises to happen. I mean, good surprises maybe, but like the bumps in the road. 6 is when well, I would not suggest that 6 would be a bumpy road day. It should be kind of like a bit more of a plain sailing day. This is why I say, if you've got a journey to make, then 6 would be one of the ones that I would particularly choose to make a journey on. From 6 we're then going into 7 Okay, so 7 the staff of office, the staff of authority. The father figure within the home. Representing the home itself, representing harmony within the home, representing coherence and cohesion in our society. And here with the number 7 on the top of the pyramid, representing kind of like the ultimate, standing right on top, representing the end as well. It's like when we see the way that the calendar works, the beginning, is the first Nawal that we will come across, and then we go across the board, we will end up at the 7. And so it's the 2 bookends, birth and death, beginnings and endings, the end of leadership, the end of one guide. 7 is about bringing our harmony to its peak. It's also about choices. You'll find that when you go to Tikal, when you're standing on top of Temple 4 and you're looking out across the jungle, you'll see Temple 1, Temple 2 and Temple 3 across there. It's a magnificent sight. Now what you're seeing is the sacred centers. You're seeing the highest points. You're seeing the best bits, right? The highlights. You're not seeing what's going on the jungle floor. It is saying, okay, what do you want to go to next? Temple 1, Temple 2, Temple 3. Not kind of like all these little buildings around, but the highest heights. And so it's giving you the best choices. But it's also asking you to make a choice. And so it's a time to make a decision. And what you'll be presented with is the ways to bring harmony into your home or community. Because that's what is about, okay? So it's a great day to be making a choice of leadership, making a choice of how to bring harmony into society, but also kind of like having to make that choice. It's like we can't wait anymore. We need a decision, okay? And so 7 will also, like, the beneficial way of using the 7 is to make the choice. And if you don't make the choice, then there's something which kind of like feels off. It will like turn back on itself. So like if there's things in your home that are out of harmony, 7 is to make the decision to make those changes. From 7 we then go into 8 Ish. Ish, where's my Jaguar friend? There she is. Okay. Ish, again, we're in the Kej Trecena. We're talking about the natural world. Ish, the spirit of Mother Earth herself. 8 Ish, the celebration of the spirit of Mother Earth, the ceremonies that we make to connect ourselves with Mother Earth. And what does Mother Earth give us? Everything. Place to live, food in our mouth, everything that we could ask for comes from Mother Earth. That's why it's so important we connect with her. We connect with her through the sacred sites. We connect with her through the ceremonies. And so this is the day of the ceremony for Mother Earth. It's also an exceptionally good day to visit sacred sites, to make your offering on 8 Ish. That's the day of the Jaguar temple, right? And so this is a day when you might find if you are around those temples, you're really able to connect in with Mother Earth. Now here we don't have temples, we have mountains, and we have altars on top of those mountains. And going with the theme of the Kej Trecena, if you wanted to take a walk, taking a walk up to the altar on the 8 Ish day might be absolutely perfect for reconnecting with the natural world. From 8 Ish, we're then going into 9 Tzikin. So Tzikin, the visionary, the bird. Tzikin, the one that flies up high, is able to see everything with perspective, is able to get an idea about where we're going. Now, Tzikin is strongly linked with prosperity. And when we're talking about prosperity, when we're thinking about prosperity, the way that I see it is probably with a better word, which is thrive. That everything must thrive. That our prosperity is dependent on the prosperity of Mother Earth, is dependent on the prosperity of nature. And so we've got to make sure that everything is in coherence, that our vision is coherent to make sure that the Mother Nature thrives as much as we do. Because if she doesn't thrive, we ain't going to thrive for very long. And so this reconnection with the spirit of nature, this reconnection with the natural world, here we have it. This 9 Tzikin, the life vision. Okay? The number 9 representing the feminine, the number 9 representing life itself. Okay? So this would also be a good day for you to be working on your life vision, as it were, if you have one. Or if you don't, a day to be calling with your life vision. Where are you going to get it? Well, maybe once again from the mountaintop, maybe through a journey through the forest, maybe through connecting with the natural world in the Kej Trecena. This is going to help to bring you your life vision, to help you to understand how to go forward and help yourself and the environment and your family and community to all thrive together. As we go through, we then move into 10 Achmach. So Achmach are great clearing days. Achmach are great days for forgiveness. This is what it's about, forgiveness and redemption. Acceptance. Acceptance of our human nature. Acceptance that, try as we might, none of us is perfect. And we all have certain things go on, and what do we have to do? We have to accept them. We have to accept ourselves. We have to accept each other. Okay? It all starts with acceptance of the self, I think. Because if you can't forgive yourself, then it's going to be pretty difficult to forgive others around you anyway. And forgiving others around you is something which will be a big theme on 10 Achmach. Also, asking for the forgiveness of others. Because the 10 brings it into community. It's about agreement and society. It's about those agreements that make society work, right? Because society all works because we agree with each other. We come to an agreement on what it is that we're doing, what it is we're saying, how we're moving, whatever it might be. And so 10 Achmach, we can see forgiveness of community, forgiveness of society. Now, for one reason or another, some of us may have something to ask forgiveness for from our community. We might also have, maybe there's elements of society that we might need to forgive. We might need to forgive ourselves in it. There's a lot of division in our world right now, and division is never going to take us forward. And sure, we have to call out things for exactly what they are and make sure that we're clear with the way that everything is. But we also have to accept that we've made mistakes. We all make mistakes. If we didn't, we wouldn't be human. We'd be like little robots walking around following some kind of predestined routine. And we're not. We're human. We fall over. That 10 I also see as like stretching out a hand to give somebody a hand up. And sometimes when we've fallen, we're laying on the ground, sometimes waiting for somebody to lend us a hand to help us to get back up, to accept that we're human and we fall over and say, hey, hang on, yeah, up you come, brother, up you come, sister, however that might work. And that's when we accept that, that's when our human nature comes out. Achmach is about the sweetness of human nature. And when we can offer our hand to offer assistance to somebody who's fallen over, that's what brings the true humanity out of us. And so that's what I see for 10 Achmach. Who can you offer a hand to? Who can you forgive, or who can you ask for forgiveness? Like maybe there's something that you need to clear in that in order to connect in a better way. From 10 Achmach, we're then going to move into 11 Noch. Okay, so the Noch, the thought, the mind, the brain, the ideas, the knowledge, and the number 11, going around all over the place. So many different ideas. You might find that it might be a little bit tricky to kind of keep your mind in a straight place on 11 Noch, because you might have so many ideas appearing quickly. You're going there, you're going there, you're going there. And they might not always seem like entirely coherent, let's say. But it's like you get a flash of that and a flash of that and a flash of that. And it's like, oh, I remember someone saying something about that, or that knowledge, or this knowledge, or however it might be. And it's 11 Noch, I don't think is a day to be particularly focused. I think it's a day where we sort of like, we accept that these flashes will come in. We just go, oh, okay, maybe you want to keep notes on that day of what comes to you. And just say, oh, now I'm thinking about this, now I'm thinking about that. Oh, somebody mentioned this knowledge or that knowledge. And just say, right, okay, yep, that will come clear later on. Maybe that walk in the woods will clear up exactly what it's for or whatever. But when we stop and try and analyze and make it linear, 11s are not supposed to work in a linear way. They need that latitude. That's what brings the intense creativity of an 11, is the ability to work in a non-linear way. And the moment we start trying to confine it or put it into order, it's the moment that we lose the understanding of it. So just let it be, let it come, and let that knowledge kind of like appear around you, and make notes to use at a later date. From 11 Noch, we're then going into 12 Tihash. So we have 2 healing days, 2 very strong healing days, 12 Tihash and 13 Kawok. They're the 2 days which end the Trecena. Tihash I see as the masculine aspect of healing. Tihash I see as it's the surgeon's blade, it's the obsidian blade. That dynamic, that it's making a cut, okay? And the number 12, what does the number 12 represent? It's the bundling together of all of life's experience. Okay? Tihash, well, we talk about the warrior and the healer. I also talk about the sculptor. I also talk about the editor. And it's using that razor discernment that Tihash brings to understand what to cut away and how. And that's the important thing about it. And what are we looking at? Life experience. There may be some experiences that, I mean, we've all had experiences we probably would rather not have had, right? And sometimes they hold us back because we hang on to it for too long. We attach ourselves to it. And there comes a point in time when we've got to let it go. We've got to cut ourselves free from it. And 12 Tihash is exactly that day. It's a day to say, right, okay, I'm going to use my obsidian blade because I don't need to carry that anymore. That experience, I've learnt from it. It taught me, thank you very much. Bless the experience. Now we're going to cut ourselves free from it so we can move forward in life. Because that's what 12 Tihash can do for us. It's a very, very powerful healing day. It's also a day when, you know, if you're using that obsidian blade, just be a bit aware of how you're using it, because the strength, like, again, a little goes a long way. You know, it's a very, very sharp blade, because from the 12 Tihash, we're going to move into the 13 Kawok, which is the other side of healing, which is the feminine healing. Okay? And so that feminine aspect of healing is something which, it's the midwife, it's the birthing, it's the rebirthing, okay? The Kawok, the rain that falls, that nourishes the natural world. The rain that falls that brings the greenness of the natural world. That brings the deer, the horse, the leaves to eat in nature. The rain that we need to bring the greenness back. So that rebirthing day, what's it empowered by? The number 13. What does the 13 represent? Well, represents the 13 major joints of the body, okay? It represents a connection to spirit. It represents the ancestors. 13 Kawok we could see as the healing which comes from spirit, the healing which comes from the ancestors, the ability to move into the new birth, to go through the birth process and be assisted by spirit as we do. It is an exceptionally powerful rebirthing day. If you want to be kind of like moving, hello wind, moving into your new world, as it were, if you want to be moving into your new self, if you want to ask for the assistance of spirit on your rebirthing, 13 Kawok is the day to do it. Again, a little goes a long way. Be aware of the ceremonies that you're making on that. You know, it's the flood, yeah? The Kawok storm that comes through. You'll see kind of like around the lake right now, you'll see kind of like there's a lot of leaves everywhere. Everywhere's kind of like dry and dusty and dirty. The first rains come through, those floods wash everything out of the way. They clean everything. And that again is what this Kawok energy is about. It's this flood that comes through and it opens up a clean space for the new growth to arrive. Now this time it's like it's spirit that's driving it. It's the ancestors that are driving it. So it's like a very powerful flood that comes through and washes away everything which is ready to go. You know, when they talk about the creation stories, they talk about the world being washed away, the old world, the filth of the old world being washed away so that the new world can come in. Now, if we looked on the creator deities, as it were, we could see that to the old world, they're destroyers, right? To the new world, they're creators. It all depends on which side of the fence you sit, or like, you know, which side of time you sit, as to how you see them. But creation can't occur on, let's say, a dirty canvas. You've got to clean the canvas before you can paint the new picture. And that's what 13 Kawok can bring in a very, very strong way. So if you're looking for healing, if you're looking to bring something new into being, then that's a day to ask for the assistance of the ancestors, to ask for the assistance of spirit, to help you to clean, to help you to heal, and to help you to bring the new into the world. And what will we be birthing? Well, we'll be birthing the next Trecena, which is Hunahpu, the new sun, which I'll be talking about again in 13 days' time. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.